Hey, what's going on, guys? Hayes here with another Chaos Hero Nightmare video, and today I am finally making a Hugo guide. Now, before, if you saw my last video, I did make a Tressa guide, and obviously Tressa's best partner being Hugo, and Hugo's best partner being Tressa, we might as well make a separate video on Hugo as well. Now, they just gave out a whole bunch of pulls as compensation, so I know a whole bunch of new players are starting to reroll over and over again. And I honestly think Hugo is one of those top choices for a reroll. So with that being said, let's go over exactly how to play what he does and how you can build the best Hugo if you do decide to pull him. So starting off with his basics, starting cards, throw dagger, 120% damage. Well, this is based on what you have at level 2 in your potentials, but 120% base damage to the enemy and 50% chance for one commence the hunt. And if you don't know what commence the hunt is, this is basically the bread and butter of Hugo's kit. Without commence the hunt, he does nothing. And commence the hunt is when using a targeting attack card. So this means a single target attack, not AoE like for example, Kalipe's upward slash. No AoEs, this is specifically single target. When using a targeting attack, inflict 50% extra attack damage on the target. Reduce commence the hunt stack by 1 and increase extra attack damage per commence the hunt stack by 30%, max 5 stacks. So he can have up to 5 commence the hunt stacks, and every single time he gets a stack, it increases his damage by 30%. And when he does use a stack, by once again using a targeting attack card, when one of your allies or him uses a targeted attack card, he does use 1 stack. So the more stacks you have, the more damage he does, and when you use a targeting attack card, 1 stack goes away. Hopefully that makes sense. Now that we understand how Commence the Hunt works, we should be able to understand the rest of his kit very well. Okay, obviously another basic attack, and then we have his 120% shield, defense system, a skill. Honestly, when you go into Chaos, this is one of the cards you want to remove. Sometimes you may need his basic attack, so you might not always want to remove these two, but the shield skill is definitely one that you do want to remove when you do go into the Chaos. And then this, in addition to his commence the hunt, this is everything Hugo needs right here. This is what makes his kit. Hunting instincts of the upgrade skill. And the one that has Outbreak of War, I'll go into more on that later. When another combatant uses upgrade or a skill card, gain 1 hunt commence. Remember, hunt commence are the stacks that he needs to do his additional attacks when somebody uses a targeted attack card. So every single time your ally uses an upgrade or skill card, he will gain 1 stack for a maximum of 5. This is the bread and butter of his kit. And especially this part right here, Outbreak of War. If you don't know what Outbreak of War is, it means as soon as the battle starts on the first turn, this skill will be the first card that he gets. It's always in your starting hand. You'll always have it if it has Outbreak of War. And I say if because if you go over to Epiphanies, there's a lot. I'm sorry, this makes me laugh because the amount of times I've gotten my run ruined because the game decides to completely take away my Outbreak of War when I get an Epiphanies card, it's too many times to count. You may think the 0 cost is fine. No, 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 no. Every single time you want a Outbreak of War, this is because the faster you activate this, the more benefit you have, the more damage you could do, the faster your allies can start using those upgrade and skill cards so you can gain those stacks, and just the faster you kill the enemy, to be honest. Because if it doesn't have Outbreak of War, who knows when you'll get it. If you get it on the 2nd turn or the 3rd turn, depending on how many cards you actually have in your deck, Outbreak of War is just so helpful. That's why I'm not even going to read any of these other epiphanies because honestly, I think you need it. I think you want the Outbreak of War. I don't think anything else is better than that one. And you can actually get a, let me go to one of my saved datas. Where would it be? I forgot which build it was. Um, if it is possible. Oh my god, I've been playing so much. Where the heck is the where the heck is the build? You can, is that one it? Yeah, you can actually get a Divine Epiphany where you can make the upgrade 0 cost, but this is very rare. I've only gotten this once, but if you do get that, that's even better. Outbreak of War, Divine Epiphany, 0 cost, so does it even cost you anything? But ideally, let's go back to cards. you want to get this on Outbreak of War. You start off with Outbreak of War, but if you do get an Epiphany, maybe hopefully it is one that lowers the cost. And if you manage to duplicate this, it gives you 2 stacks at once. If you use 2 of these at the start of the turn, whenever your ally does an upgrade or skill card, instead of you giving 1 commence, it actually gives you 2 this time. So you can make it even better. But if you just have 1, it's not that bad if you do have a lot of skill and upgrade cards in your deck. Moving on, Phantom Daggers hits random enemies and you gain a commence the hunt stat for each target hit. This one's pretty basic. Some good epiphanies would be this one. It just gives you a guarantee to commence the hunt stacks. So if you're fighting a boss that doesn't have any extra enemies, you always get 2 commence the hunt stacks rather than this one. This would only give you 1 because obviously there's only 1 boss on the map. You can't get any more than that. This, when damage is dealt, rent. Okay, I don't really like this because it doesn't give you any stacks. This one also doesn't give you any stacks. It just gives you more damage. And this one just costs 2 skill points, so we really don't look at that. So these two, whatever you get, these two are your best options. Don't worry about these other 3. Next, we have Quick Fix. 82% damage times 2. If in commence the hunt, draw 1 attack card. This one is really good. Hugo has some decent draw power that I really like. You can even make him draw 2. Draw in 1 attack card specifically. And we have this one plus 1 hit. This one minus, nah, don't even worry about that one. Don't even worry about this one. We're not even going to go over that. The draw cards are the most helpful in my opinion. Draw power is always good to have in a card game like this. So either 1 or 3 would be the ones that you are looking for. Next, we have Dingo Howling. Shield to commence the hunt. This one gives you 3 commence the hunt. This one gives you, upon gaining commence the hunt, draw 1 attack card. It doesn't actually give you commence the hunt, but every single time you do get commence the hunt, this gives you 1 attack card per turn, so not really that great. And this one just gives you 4 commence the hunt if you read it properly. 2 commence the hunt initially, and then if you use a combo, add another 2 commence the hunt. Combo is when you play another card, obviously. And this one gives 2 commence the hunt and draws 2 attack cards. So honestly, Dingo Howling does have a lot of pretty good options. It just depends on what you need. My 2 favorites are 4 and 5. This one obviously because you can get 4 commence the hunt stacks, but honestly, if you're playing Hugo properly, you shouldn't need 4 commence the hunt stacks instantly. You should be able to be pretty full on them usually, which is why I do like more draw power if you're missing it somewhere else in your deck. I always love drawing cards. But yes, once again, 4 or 5. Then, last but definitely not least, this one just gives him a buff to his commence the hunt damage. Whenever you get this, make sure you use it before you start doing attacks with the rest of your characters. And lastly, Hugo's Ego Skill. This does AoE damage to all enemies, 250%, and gives you plus 30% commence the hunt damage. Use this whenever you have a whole bunch of enemies and want to help clear out the field, or just use it for a buff to his commence the hunt damage. Pretty simple. Next, let's talk about partners. Obviously, Trina is Hugo's best in slot partner, the 5-star option, but I really don't expect anyone to have that because who was really wishing on the weapon banner? So I honestly don't expect anyone to have that. But your next best option would obviously be Rosaria, which increases the assigned combatant's extra attack damage by 20%, and when the assigned combatant uses an upgrade or skill card, 50% chance to gain morale for 1 turn. And obviously Hugo's Hunting Instincts is a upgrade card, so you have a 50% chance to gain morale, which is a damage buff for 1 turn. And her ego skill is draw 1 enhanced cards, and if there's no enhanced cards in the draw pile, draw 1. So pretty basic. This is what most people will be using for their Hugo if you do decide to build him. And moving on to memory fragments. Now you can see I have here 3 2-piece sets. There are 2 reasons for this. First, the basic reason is because I don't have no resources to farm to farm a full set and do any of that. And the second reason is because I actually don't really like the order set. If you go to the green set right here, obviously most people would assume the green set goes on the green character. And if you read the description, it says when using attack cards for 1 turn, plus 5% order card damage and max 3 stacks. So if you use 3 attack cards in 1 turn for Hugo, you get plus 15% order card damage. And I don't like that because I'm very often I'm not using 3 cards in the same turn for Hugo. 3 attack cards, to be even more specific, they do have to be attack cards. I'm honestly not doing that very often. I'm mostly using my other characters' attack cards while Hugo attacks from off field. So that is one of the reasons why I really don't like this set and would much prefer to use the 2-piece, 2-piece, 2-piece because it's easier to farm, you can switch around sets, and he gets a benefit from every one of these things. Plus 25% critical damage, plus 10% damage dealt to enemies inflicted with agony, and plus 12% attack. He can benefit from all of those. Now obviously if you're using Hugo with somebody other than Tressa, you might not get the benefit from the agony, which in that case you could just switch your set to something that does benefit the team that you are running. And obviously, for the stats, order damage, this is his main damage type. Then we go over here, obviously attack, critical chance, health. I think this is the only choice you have here. Yep, health, defense, and then more attack, so you can do more damage, obviously. And the substats that you would be looking for are more attack, extra damage, critical chance, and critical damage. But make sure you get that extra attack damage because this is where most of Hugo's attack comes from. As you can see, we have a star right here that shows that he gets the most benefit from extra attack damage. So yeah, I do recommend the triple 2-piece for Hugo, especially if you're running him with Tressa, and I don't really see a point in farming the order set anyway. Next, let's take a look at the potential. Now, Hugo's potentials are a little weird because his Commence the Hunt, which is his main source of damage, doesn't actually benefit from any of these. Well, any of these 3 nodes, I mean. Because they all say unique card, neutral card, and basic card. His Commence the Hunt damage from off field isn't actually a card, so he won't benefit from any of these. Obviously, the basic card damage will still buff the, what do you call it, throwing daggers, and the unique card buff will still buff the quick fix and the fan of daggers. But nothing will actually buff his Commence the Hunt damage, which is why none of these are really that important, even though you can still level up them to buff the other things that I mentioned before. What is really important is obviously the critical damage, the critical chance, and this one right here. If Hugo's attack is greater than 700, plus 4% additional damage for every 50 attack exceeding that value plus 1%. This is just more damage. This one doesn't really matter. This is just for a slow dagger, but these 3 is really what matter. But the thing about these 3 is that they're very late game. And as you can see, I have none of them unlocked and my Hugo still performs. I just cleared difficulty 10 in the Chaos Zero mode and it was a walk in the park with Hugo and Tressa. That's just how good the team is. So for right now, especially in the early stages of the game, you don't really have to focus on any of these late nodes. As you can see, I'm freaking broke, so I'm definitely not focusing on them and I still can clear content. Now let's talk about his save data and equipment. So for his equipment, I do have the second method. I know there's another piece of equipment that does give you agony damage. I haven't gotten it myself yet, but I feel like the people that recommend that only use him with Tressa, when in reality, Hugo does have a lot of other team options. So I feel like the second method is a good overall piece of equipment to have when you're playing Hugo, so you can slot him into any team depending on what world you were deciding to play. The good thing about the second method is it's not just specific to one world. You can find this in the shop, you can get this after defeating an enemy, you can get this after hitting the waypoint. There's so many ways to get it, but the most common way is the shop obviously. But I feel like every single time you do a world run of Hugo, you will end up with a second method, which is why I do think this is one of the top choices. And for the chest piece, I do have a 6% critical chance. Obviously, because I want more critical chance, I got this from the Swamp of Judgment world, and I also did get this from the Swamp of Judgment world as well. Bone Ring of Wildfire, when using an upgrade card, plus 20% damage for 1 turn, and obviously Hugo's Hunting Instincts is an upgrade card, so I get 20% damage whenever I used, the first time I used that. And these 2, like I said in the Tressa video, these 2 slots is really whatever, but make sure you get the second method in my own opinion. And for the save data, honestly, like I said before earlier in the video, if you can remove his shield card, remove that, get that out of there. And if you can get 2 Hunting Instincts, that is the way. Anything else is kind of up to your digression. If you want to remove a basic, you can. but I think the main parts are getting a extra hunting instincts and just removing the shield. And as for Hugo team options, like I said, he has a lot of them. The character really just has to be single target for him to perform. And obviously here we have a lot of single target damage dealers. Honestly, his best team in my own opinion is the free to play one with him and Tressa. There's no better team for him than this, but if you did not want to use Tressa, maybe if you have a Kayron, she was on his team for example. If you have a Mei Lin, he can also be paired with her. If you have a Luke, you could pair him with him. This just destroys all green content in the game. I say green, but what is it? It's order, yeah. And if you have a Barrel, another free to play option, similar to Tressa. So we have two, I don't want to say premium because they are standard units, but I'm just gonna say premium for the sake of it. We have two premium options right here and two free to play options right here. And now I know you see four faces, four of the same faces, just that's not just Hugo, which is Mika, 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 Mika. I just put Mika there for a placeholder. Honestly, you could slot in any support that does give you a lot of skill and upgrade cards to make sure Hugo has his uptime. But I think Mika is especially wanted in the Hugo Tressa team just because of the healing dagger synergy. But for the rest of the teams, you can honestly slot in a Nia if you wanted to, but Mika is just, we do need another Mika. Just know that she isn't the only option, and Nia is still a choice for most people, provided you have her, of course. But yeah, those are some pretty simple cookie cutter Hugo teams. Focus on units that do single target and not AoE. Now that we fully understand, or hopefully understand how to play Hugo, I'm gonna be pretty upset if you don't understand and I just spent that long yapping, but now let's go into our usual gameplay showcase. There it is, just like that. That was a level 10 difficulty world, and I think the world level was actually 80. Probably, yeah, it was around 80 because I just unlocked the 82. But yeah, you can see how Hugo almost just completely, he trivializes the mode. Especially if you do it on Swamp of Judgment, he will carry you all the way until difficulty 10, as he did for me. Now, full transparency, obviously, my Hugo is Ego 2, which is why you did see a few extra skills when he did his follow-up attack. But in reality, I didn't get E2 Hugo until when I was already at difficulty 10. And he doesn't really make a difference. What are you going to take one extra turn? So yeah, trust me, Hugo is a must build if you do have him. Along with having one of the best free to play teams, the damage that he outputs is insane. So hopefully you guys learned exactly how to play him, what teams for him, and what exactly he does. This was Hayes. Peace.